Hey, so it has been a long time since y'all have seen me, probably like over a year, but it's because of life be life, and we have some really exciting news coming up. We bought a house, and I'll be doing like a house tour and all that good stuff and catching y'all up. But lately, y'all have been seeing Reggie. I have been wanting this man to record forever. And his most recent videos, the first video that we did, the seafood boil, is over 1,000 views. Insane. Like, y'all have been supporting and viewing, watching ads and all that good stuff. And we are so excited and thankful for all of y'all. And today I was like, well, let me give you a break and let me go ahead and record a video. So today we're going to be doing chocolate chip cookies. I have made chocolate chip cookies in the past from scratch, and the recipes just were not to my personal liking. But this chocolate chip cookie recipe, amazing. Hands down, the best chocolate chip cookies I've ever had in my life. This recipe is a recipe from Jacques Torres. He posted, or his recipe was posted on New York Times. I personally was introduced to this recipe from Emmy Made here on YouTube. She used to be Emmy Made in Japan, but I think she's just Emmy Made now. I tweaked just a couple of things in this recipe. The chocolate, Jacques calls for chocolate discs, and I would order the disc, but I'm here in Texas and it's hot as hell. So by the time the chocolate would get here, it would be like semi-melted. So that was one thing. And then two, he calls for like dark chocolate and semi-sweet chocolate discs. I'm not a dark chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate kind of girl. I am strictly a milk chocolate kind of girl, clearly. I would replace the dark chocolate and semi-chocolate with the milk chocolate. However, also the discs for me were expensive. I think they were like $20 a bag. So I switched it out with my personal take, and I think they're pretty bomb. So I changed that, and also this recipe calls for a lot of salt. I think it calls for like 1.5 teaspoons of coarse salt. And you also sprinkle the coarse salt on top before you bake them. I don't even use a full teaspoon of the coarse salt, and I definitely don't sprinkle it on top because for me, it's a little too salty. But the way I do it, I think, is perfection. So we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna show y'all how to make these amazing chocolate chip cookies. So let's get into it. Okay, so what I use is a full bag. Mind you, let me just say this recipe calls for like a ton of chocolate. It's basically like the same amount of dough that you make is the same amount as chocolate that you need. So I use a full bag of the Ghirardelli's milk chocolate chips, and I use 2 of the large sizes of the Hershey Symphony milk chocolate, extra creamy. So what I start by doing is I take these, both bars, open them up, and I stack them on top of each other just to make it kind of a little easier for me. I literally cut down the ridges of each piece. Like there's 4 sections. I cut off a section, and then I cut crossways down the little ridges, and each square of chocolate I cut into 3s. That's 1, 2, and 3. So I cut them just like this, and I do this to the entire thing. Okay, so here's all the chocolate diced up, the 2 bars and the entire bag of the Ghirardelli's milk chocolate. Again, this is a lot of chocolate. The recipe calls for a ton, but it's worth it in the end. So let's go ahead and get into making our dough. Okay, so we have all of our dry ingredients here. These are all going to be sifted together. So we're going to just add them in as we go. We have 2 cups minus 2 tablespoons of cake flour. Basically measure out 2 cups of the cake flour and take out 2 tablespoons of it. It sounds weird, but it's really important. So we're going to add this to the sifter. Next, we have 1 2/3 cup of bread flour. I use the unbleached or the organic one, just me personally. I don't know if it makes much of a difference, but this is just what I use. Then we have 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking soda. So we have our baking soda. And now we're going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Add that in. And then we have our salt. Again, the recipe calls for 1 1/2 teaspoon of coarse salt. I don't even use a full teaspoon, so that's just my preference. We're gonna sift this together to get out all the lumps. Okay, so now that we have all of our dry ingredients mixed and sifted into our blender, we have 2 1/2 sticks of unsalted butter. Make sure they're room temperature. And we have 1 1/4 cups of light brown sugar, 1 cup plus 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar. Don't ask why, just do it. Into our mixer here, and we're gonna mix this on low for 5 minutes until it's like really light, really fluffy, and until your kitchen smells like a bakery, basically. Okay, as you can see, it's been about a little over 5 minutes actually, but it is super light, super fluffy. We whipped some air into that butter and sugar, and it has combined beautifully. So now what we're gonna do is turn that off. We are going to scrape it down just a little bit around the sides, just a little bit. It's already been the sides have been kind of folding into itself as it's like being blended, but we are going to put it back on low. And we have our eggs at room temperature. We have 2 eggs, and we're going to drop them in 1 egg at a time and let it get like fully combined. Okay. I'm going to drop in 1 egg, let that mix, that get combined, and then we're going to drop in the 2nd egg and let that get completely combined. It smells like a bakery. And then we're going to add in our vanilla. I would say get like the best vanilla you can find, and you're going to do just 2 dollops of it. So 1, 2. You're going to let that mix. This next part is the part that I hate because the flour gets everywhere. But we're going to finally start mixing in the flour, and make sure when you're mixing in the flour that you don't over mix it. So I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to do it like in 3s just because it gets so messy. So I'm going to put it on low, let that mix in. See how there's flour flying everywhere? Okay, then I'm gonna mix in another part and let that mix for a minute. Then I'm gonna add in the last part and let it mix in. So messy. Let that mix for a second. And I'm also gonna go around here, just the sides, kind of mixing the little flour at the top. Sorry if y'all hear little Ashley in the back. It's real life at the Hailey house, y'all. Okay. Now that's done, let's do the chocolate mix in. This next part, we're going to be mixing in the chocolate to the dough. This part requires some elbow grease. So we're going to put these sleeves up so we can mix all of this chocolate in here. And like I said, it's literally the same chocolate to dough ratio. So we're really going to fold this in until everything is incorporated. I guess I forgot to tell y'all the main thing about these cookies is that they're supposed to be 24 to 48 hour cookies. And you're supposed to like make them, let them sit for it's 24 to 36 hours. And you let it sit for that long and it lets like all the ingredients like marry together into the flour and stuff. I'm telling you, the longer you let this dough sit, the better the cookies are. So if you can let them sit overnight, if you can let them sit for a couple days or a week, it's just going to get better and better. A cookie sheet and an ice cream scooper. I don't know the dimensions of this, but whatever ice cream scooper you have at home, just use that. And you literally start forming dough balls. The recipe says to let this dough chill before you do this, but according to Emmy, if you let it sit, it's of course harder to scoop. And I'm so glad that she said that because it really is. So immediately start forming your dough balls onto your tray. Okay, so once you're done scooping, it should look something like this. Every time I get to this part of the recipe, I'm like, I cannot believe I made this. So this yields between 18 and 23 cookies, I think I've gotten out of it, depending on how big your scoop is and all that good stuff. So these made exactly 20 cookies. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cover it in some saran wrap and we're going to put it in the refrigerator. You know, supposed to be overnight, 42, 72 hours or whatever. And you come back and you bake it. So I'm going to let these sit for just a little bit. Okay, so it has been a few hours. I let these rest for a couple hours or so. And then I put these in the oven on 350 for exactly 18 minutes. So it say 18 to 20, depending on how you like your cookies. I personally like mine's like kind of chewy, a little gooey in the middle, and a little chewy on the edges and a little crispy. So I find that 18 minutes is perfect for these. And they turned out amazing. Look how big these turn out. Like these are huge. So let me break one open. Look at that. That is incredible. Hi. Okay, so we have Miss Beautiful Audrey here, and she is going to be doing our taste test. It's good.
It's bussin'. We need discussion.
Well, it is Audrey approved. If you guys try this recipe, please comment down below. Let me know how it turned out. Let me know what variations of it you do, what toppings you use. I think we've used like M&Ms before in these. So I'm so curious to know how these turn out for you guys. And until the next video, we will see y'all. Love y'all.
Bye.